Well, hello everybody. Hopefully you can all see and hear me quite clearly. If you can you please just give me a quick virtual high five or a little yes in that chat function? Fabulous. Okay, wonderful stuff. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we're going to jump straight into it. I mean, we look, it's a bite-sized session. We've got like 20 minutes or so just talk about this hugely diverse, provocative topic. Um, but let me start by saying thank you so much. Thank you for prioritizing you and your time and really investing in you, and just even for this short time, just giving yourself permission just to come up for a bit of air, just to pause and just check in. So thank you so much for being proactive today. I did invite you all to take a moment just to reflect around your own well-being in that a welcome poll question. So please feel free to jump on that question. It just invites you to rate your overall well-being today out of 10. Now, it's a wonderful opportunity just to reflect around where we feel we're at, but also importantly to notice, right? Do we need a little bit more support now? Is it okay to reach out support? Give me a high five. Do we agree that it's okay to reach out for a bit of support? Remember, can't pour from an empty cup, right? So if you do notice that you score yourself quite low, please feel free, reach out to me. If you want a quick chat with me, if you want to chat with some of the other wellbeing coaches, reach out to us if you need to. We can offer an ear, we can offer some support for you if you need it. So come and reach out to us if you can, but take the opportunity just to check in. That would be wonderful. Okay, we're gonna dive straight into it. We've got a really good turnout, so thank you everybody for rocking up. Please feel free to utilize that chat function to share your thoughts and if questions, if we might not, we might not get to it today, but we can always reach out and see how we. You could kind of mute me as I cannot seem to be able to do it. No one can hear you. Someone's just dropped in the chat function. Can I kindly mute them? No one can hear you. It's only me that they can hear. It's kind of like a one-way webinar. So you're all good there. Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump, as I say, straight into it and see how we go. Remember, this is being recorded. Feel free to share this much or this much in the chat function. It's entirely up to you. Let's jump into it. I'm conscious of time, as always. This is what we're going to be kind of tapping into today. We're going to reflect around understanding that link between our brain and our gut and how it impacts on our mood, how it impacts on our energy, and of course, what it can do to kind of some of those hormones that are responsible for feelings of fullness or feelings of hunger. We're going to invite you, as we do kind of almost every bite size, to check in with some of your current habits, and we're going to learn how to cultivate a thriving inner ecosystem. In other words, your microbiome. So we're going to look a little bit more closely at some of those things. Now, I'm sure you can all appreciate it's very, very diverse, and kind of nutrition is kind of debated almost as much as politics. Nowadays, and it's very, very important that we all recognize as well that we're all individual and unique. Would we all agree? Give me a high five. Just as with our well-being, our nutrition is very unique to us, right? So what works well for you might not necessarily work well for me for all sorts of different reasons. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that remember, we are very, very unique creatures, and nutrition is also very, very unique to each and every one of us as well. Okay, so let's talk about it, because what is gut health? What is our microbiome? We hear these words quite a lot. We might be unsure a little bit more about what they are. Now, your gut is your gastrointestinal system, and it includes your stomach, as you can see, your intestines, your colon. It digests and absorbs nutrients from the food that we consume and drinks that we consume, and it excretes waste. Now, there's much research really and interest in this area, and there has been over last decade or more, perhaps more than that. It's become a real kind of hot topic of a conversation, and there might be no clear definition of gut health, and it can mean something different for different researchers or different medical professionals. But when you hear me use the word gut health today, what I mean by gut health is having a healthy gut microbiome and limited kind of digestive problems, digestive symptoms. Now, there are trillions of bacteria and viruses and fungi in our digestive tract, especially in our large intestine. Now, the bacteria and other microorganisms, these are known as microflora, and these are in our gut, and they're known as our microbiome. And the bacteria within our microbiome help break down our food. They help turn it into nutrients so that our bodies can absorb it. So this is what a healthy gut is. But what exactly then is that microbiome? As you can see, it involves lots of those organisms in the gut known as your microbiome. Now, your microbiome has got one way to look at it is it's got good bacteria, good soldiers, good gardeners, and these are health promoting bacteria, and they include things like improving digestion, especially relating to absorbing nutrients, boosting our immune systems, improving our mental health, and there's many other benefits as well. Now, you probably won't be surprised to discover, of course, that our good bacteria is largely nourished by lots of nutrient dense foods, lots of fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, grains, these sorts of things. And it supports the good bacteria to do their job, to work very hard to again give you those kind of benefits. On the flip side of that, you've got those bad bacteria, right? And sometimes if our bad bacteria, these pathogens, is that sometimes if they become a dominating force in our gut microbiome, they produce carcinogens, they produce toxins, they can cause inflammation, and increase kind of infections and cause infections and internal inflammation. So take a moment just to reflect. And one analogy might be, if your microbiome is like a garden, your good bacteria are all the kind of gardeners that come in and they're really skilled at their job and they help support and create this wonderful environment for your garden to thrive. Your bad bacteria are kind of all those people that come into your garden that kind of destroy the garden and dig it up and make sure that it's not working as well as it could be. So we want to create that microbiome, that garden that has a much more effective kind of healthy balance where the good bacteria are working very hard to create that environment for us to absorb those nutrients as well as we can. So just give me a high five or a yes in that chat function. Would you like to increase the variety or the diversity of foods in your current diet at the moment? Give me a high five. Does that kind of resonate with you a little bit? Because it might be that when we pause just to notice that actually we probably do, don't we? We have like, I don't know, 7 or 8, perhaps 9 regular dishes that we constantly experiment with. But it might be just introducing 1 or 2 different things that increase the diversity, increase the variety of nutrients that we can consume. Good stuff. Okay. Cool. Click. Did that work? There we go. Okay, so how do we boost that gut bacteria, that microflora? Our gastrointestinal system, as we said, it's home to trillions and trillions of those viruses, those fungus, those microorganisms, bacteria, and that collectively is called our microbiome. Now, things like poor diet, as you can see, health problems, antibiotics, drugs, diet, those sorts of things, stress, of course, all negatively affect our gut bacteria. Now, an imbalance of good versus bad, again, is associated with inflammation, bowel disease, IBS, depression, obesity, diabetes, anxiety, cancers, these sorts of things. So to optimize our gut health, we can consume things called probiotic and prebiotic foods and drinks, which kind of feeds and supports our good bacteria. Remember, we want our good bacteria to thrive. So we want to create an environment for our good bacteria to really kind of go to work every single day. So what are probiotics? What are prebiotics? Probiotics, it's recommended that we experiment eating with things like fermented foods, which are naturally high in probiotics, things like kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurts, kefir, those sorts of things that have these cultures that actually feed our good bacteria and create that environment, that healthier environment for our good bacteria to thrive. Our prebiotics, oops, let's try that. There you go. Our prebiotics, think of different types of foods here that boost the benefit actually of those probiotics that we consume. So try to consume foods that are high in fiber. Fiber is that plant-based food that passes through our systems And it's that indigestible part of that plant-based foods that we can't kind of digest. And that's kind of like the fiber, the insoluble and soluble fiber. So fiber, again, both soluble and insoluble, is very, very important for our health. And it acts as a prebiotic that feeds that probiotic bacteria in the small and large intestine. And just a few foods to really, really kind of help support a healthy microbiome include, in terms of prebiotic, include things like, as you can see up on your screen here, onions, leeks, apples, flaxseed, sweet potatoes, not sweets, avocados, legumes, those sorts of things. So quality probiotics, quality prebiotics, fermented foods, they're going to nourish our garden, aren't they? They're going to help support a wonderful, wonderful environment for a healthy, more optimal functioning microbiome. And that's going to bring out more lasting results. It's going to reduce the risk of inflammation. So consider some of these foods, some of these fermented foods, some of these prebiotic foods that are going to promote that wonderful, wonderful environment for you to kind of connect with. Probably been aware of it from someone. Yakult isn't a great. Yeah, so Yakult isn't a great thing. Someone's saying in the chat function here, it's quite interesting to see because it's full of sugars. Someone's leading in with here. In other words, the good bacteria, it's all hyped. It could well be. We want to take things as we see them. We want to use our knowledge and experience to make an educated or more educated kind of choice when it comes to these sorts of things. It might be worth looking into, but a wonderful, wonderful nudge. I'll certainly look into that. Thank you for that. And if anyone else has any thoughts, just drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat function. So take a moment here. So how will you upgrade your diet? Do you think you might experiment with more fermented food in your diet? Or do you think you might kind of create an environment or create habits where you can perhaps consume more prebiotic foods? And perhaps those upgrades might be in those snacks that you're consuming between meals. Or perhaps that upgrade might be, I know what, I'm going to introduce one or two different, varied, seasonal vegetables to promote that prebiotic that's going to help support my gut health. Someone saying in the chat, they make their own kefir. I'm a big fan of sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut. I try and have it with almost anything and everything. I try and have it with certainly at least one meal a day. Kefir, yogurt, I consume those as well. Sporadically, I guess I would say. But yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Green banana is actually another good source of prebiotic fiber, actually, which is wonderful. So green bananas, before they kind of ripen, because before they ripen, they preserve that kind of prebiotic effect, which is that there's a little bit more fiber. Okay, let's jump through. I'm conscious of time because you guys, are expecting a 20-minute presentation, and I love yapping on and love like the questions and trying to understand a little bit more about you guys. Probiotic snacks are all full of sugars. Sugars aren't great. No, sugars aren't great. Overindulge, if it's too much of anything, is obviously not can be deemed as unhelpful. But again, just be mindful. Think about the risk reward you're getting. We want to create an environment that's more helpful. And if the only way you can get your probiotic is by having, those probiotic snacks, even if it is a little bit higher in sugar. Sugar is nutritionally, it's a dead end. But the only thing that is beneficial for is its calories. It gives you, quick fix of calorie, right? Quick fix of energy. But you're also getting a probiotic kick, which is what your microbiome might need as well. Does it make a difference if it's cooked or not? I'm not sure. Probably more not cooked, I'd imagine, although I'm not certain. Good question. Feel free to share everybody. I'd love to create that environment in their little community. If you've got some insight you want to share with me, if someone's popping a question in the chat and you've got a little bit more insight, please drop it in. A point of view, it's a nice safe space in there, so feel free to drop things in. Okay, let's take a moment just to reflect here around that gut kind of brain scenario here. Our stress triggers. We all experience stress throughout our day. Give me a high five. Are you going to experience stress today? This much or this much? Give me a high five. We all experience stress in some way, shape, or form, right? Okay, we'll all experience stress. Now, these stress triggers, and when we experience stress, we release these hormones, right? It's fight or flight response. We release these hormones like cortisol, like these neurotransmitters, all these different hormones that will directly impact the gut's nerves, the gut's muscles. It will disrupt the communication between the brain and the gut. And this is called that kind of gut brain kind of axis, this kind of bi-directional kind of communication network. It links the brain with the gut with the brain, where stress significantly impacts the function of our gut health. And so, if I've got a diet that's high in processed or ultra processed foods and very low in these probiotics and prebiotics, that's not going to be an ideal environment for our gut to function. And therefore, that's likely to cause, if there's a direct link to our brain and our mood, because I think it's about 90% of your, give me a high five. You heard of serotonin? Serotonin is one of your feel-good hormones. It's your mood hormone, and much of your serotonin is manufactured in the gastrointestinal system. So if you've got an environment or a microbiome that's just not functioning, it's just, as we said, it's full of beige packaged rubbish, ultra processed food that's very low in nutrients, very high in chemicals. How do you It's no wonder really, is it, that we feel a little bit low, because of the serotonin. It impacts on our mood enhancer, one of those mood enhancer kind of hormones that's crucial for us. So there is that very clear link, gut microbes influence brain function and mood, and it creates that vicious cycle. So that microbiota really does play a crucial role in modulating our stress responses. So as you can see here, stress events can change the gut's composition. We get this dysbiosis, so this dysfunctional balance. This altered microbiome sends problematic signals back to the brain. What happens next? This can worsen, again, those feelings of low mood, anxiety, depression, things like that. So it can affect how we think, feel, and this resulting distress sends further signals back to the brain, reinforcing this cycle. And again, take a moment. If you've ever eaten, if you've ever taken a moment just to think about eating crikey, a cake, a Mars bar, and 2 packets of crisps. Think about how you're going to feel an hour, 2 hours after that, versus eating something that's much more nutritious. Might be a poached egg on some rye bread with some avocado. Think about the difference in nutrient values. Now, one of the best things that we can do, therefore, and it follows, doesn't it? If I want to manage my stress, I can more effectively, I can begin to take steps to manage my microbiome, my gut health more effectively. And if I want to manage my gut health more effectively, I can start to kind of manage and take steps to manage my stress more effectively. Now, in the Habits for Health program, one of the first things, if you're going through the 12-week program, one of the first experiments that we encourage is around conscious consuming, taking steps to calm an overstimulated nervous system. So let's check in here. Is this something that you can experiment with? Conscious consuming. The steps to conscious consuming are every time you have a meal, we encourage you to sit down. Give me a high five if you do any of these every time you eat a meal. You sit down. Is that what you do? The next step to conscious consuming is that we pause. We take a big deep breath before we start going to town. We just take a moment just to settle the nervous system. Is this something that you currently do? So we sit down, we pause, we take a big deep breath or a couple of big deep breaths. We disconnect, we put away the devices. You can listen to the radio, you can have a conversation with somebody, but we put away those devices. The next step is to slow down. This is one that I find very challenging. I end up like just chomping. I find it very difficult to slow down when I'm eating, and therefore I find it difficult to chew as often as I might need to. So these are steps to conscious consuming. Could you practice some of these steps to calm an overstimulated nervous system when you're experiencing stress or you're in that stress state? systems that are not necessarily as important will switch off. Systems like your digestive system, right? So it's literally, I believe, almost impossible to store kind of fat or well, it's incredibly difficult to of course absorb nutrients when you're in a stress state, because again, if I'm in a fight and flight response, my body wants to put up or escape. It doesn't want to have to worry about digestion. It doesn't want to have to worry about things like reproduction. So it kind of slows down those systems. They don't work as well. So think about the impact that stress has on your function of your digestive system and your gut health. Cool. Okay, I'm conscious of time. Let's dive in. So what can we do? What could you do to support your gut health? And again, what are some of the signs of having poor gut health? You might start to think about things like some of the digestive systems might be kind of gas or bloating or constipation, things like diarrhea, heartburn, sleep disturbances, fatigue. Give me a high five if I'm saying anything that resonates with you. Perhaps a mood, emotional state, but things like high stress, low mood, anxiety, feelings of anxiety, regular, high frequency of infection of illness, things like common colds and those sorts of things. So what can we do to promote? What can we do to promote that healthier microbiome? Now, you might find some of these experiments in your Habits for Health program, but we'll just tap onto them here. Now, we're eating a wide range of fruits and vegetables, of course. It's going to ensure that we get a whole varied range of vitamins and minerals and nutrients in our diet. That diversity on our plate is going to be incredibly important for us. The more diverse our microbiome is going to become, it's a great indicator for gut health when we eat a wide variety and diverse diet. So this is our 30 plant kind of challenge. It's 30 different types of plant-based foods in a week. Just make a record. It's a great thing to do with your colleagues or your family. Just write down how many different types of plant-based foods you consume in a week. The next is to limit your ultra-processed foods. Remember, these are like the weeds that grow in your garden. The vandals that come into your garden and just start digging everything up. It's like these ultra-processed foods that we can consume. So think of reducing or even stopping, consciously reducing and stopping things like deli meats, things like ham, salamis, these sorts of things, certain breakfast cereals, ready-made meals, packaged beige stuff, as we mentioned earlier, chips, those sorts of things. Some of those, depending on where you're getting them from, of course, can be very, very unhelpful. Eat foods as best as you can that are closest to the natural state to help support your gut. The next is, of course, drinking plenty of water. Remember, water is absolutely fundamental. It's critical. It's the glue that binds everything to get everything together. Water assists in the breakdown of food, and it helps your body absorb nutrients more effectively. It helps soften your stools. It helps prevent constipation as well. Buy seasonally or grow your own food. Perhaps it's something that you do or would like to do. So think about those different seasonal foods at the moment that might kind of end up finding their way into your diet. And experiment with fermented foods as well. So see what you can come up with. Think about, again, kimchi, sourdough, drinks like kombucha, tempeh, sauerkraut, again, is a win as well. Now, every day we live and every meal we eat, we influence the great microbial organ inside of us. And we influence it for the better or for the worse, depending on what we put in here. So experiment, get stuck into it, see what you can do. Let me just do this, this, and this. No, it hasn't. That didn't quite work. It's weird. Okay, hold on 1 second, everybody. If you have any questions, just drop them in. Drop them in. Let me end that poll. That's good. If I launch that poll, launched. There we go. Before you escape today, just jump on the the exit poll here. Someone's written a bit of an essay in that chat function. I will read it, I promise. I'm just gonna finish up these last few. Remember, when we want to establish new habits, remember your motivation comes and goes, just like waves on a beach. Make sure any experiment that you set yourself, whether it's to do with your gut health or some other element of your well-being, remember, we make it manageable, we make it simple, we make it accessible. So even on those days where you're not feeling quite up for it, you can still access those simple experiments in your day. Feel free again to reach out to your Habits for Health program. Within our kind of nutrition modules, there's a lot more information about gut health. There's one specific module that really does focus on understanding a little bit more about gut health and our microbiome. But experiment and let me know how you get on. And remember, if you feel like you want to reach out and grab a quick chat with me, either on the phone or a quick video call, we are here for your support as well. Without further ado, I reckon I've gone on for 25 minutes, which actually for me is dead fast. So I'm pretty chuffed that I managed to get it done within 30 minutes. You guys have been great. Feel free to share some questions, drop them in. I'll try and have a little look-see and see if I can get back to you. But feel free to drop us an email at hello@wellbeingpeople.com if you want to, and we'll follow it up and contact you. But brilliant. Have a wonderful week experimenting. That's what it's all about, right? Experimenting, see what you can come up with. In the meantime, have a good week. Take care, everyone.